earth, hear it rumbling. Which way will we go? People always say it doesn't matter anyway. Closing the heart cause they see it every day. But not this time, we're going not afraid. Marching on even though we know. Oh, we will go through shadow. Fear will always justify. Evil lead a good heart down to aggression. Come to know it's so simple. If love is not the answer, then we just ask the wrong question. Don't get me wrong, I can see just how it happens now. Seeds of doubt falling around, empathy is shutting down. All of the hatred in the world, see where it comes from defending a god or a job or a loved one. Apathy's a pathogen, only wants to spread. The longest journey ever's from the heart to the head. Like Theseus in the maze, following the thread. The longest journey ever's from the heart to the head. Oh, just got to remind, yeah. Kindness coming back to humankind, yeah. To find your heart, you got to lose your mind, yeah. To find your heart, you got to lose your mind, we will go through shadow. Fear will always justify. Evil lead a good heart down to aggression. Come to know it's so simple. If love is not the answer, then we just ask the wrong question. To find your heart, you got to lose your mind. To find your heart, you got to lose your mind. To find your heart, you got to lose your mind. To find your heart, you got to lose your mind. To find your heart, you got to lose your mind. To find your heart, you got to lose your mind. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shiva Om Namo. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Let me ask you something. When you come in on Monday and you're not feeling real well, does anyone ever say to you, sounds like someone has a case of the Mondays?
No. No, man.
You.
Shit, no, man. I believe you get your ass kicked saying something like that, man.
How dare you? You have stolen my dreams, my childhood.
Good morning. I'm here. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up!
What is dark matter?
Okay, we don't know.
That's great. That's why it's called dark.
It's exactly.
Everyone knows all reputable information comes from random people on the internet. Tell me things, internet. The earth is flat. It's like school in your hand.
Okay, dark matter is something we do not know what it is. We believe that dark matter is there, but we have never detected it. Well, what I'm afraid of course, is that there is no dark matter out there.
There was one?
There is no dark matter out there. We need to think really hard. To think really hard.
Wake up! And a happy Monday to you all. I could just barely wake up. But it is Monday. And it is 4:05 in the morning Central Standard Time. Good morning, Zach. How are you doing?
Hey there, Josh. Oh man,
Yeah.
hard time waking up here too. Something in the air, maybe, I don't know.
Like if I go to sleep at 8
How was your
o'clock,
weekend?
wasn't bad. It was quiet. Uneventful, I suppose. I was just thinking, if I go to
I've been
bed,
up for like 3 hours.
Go ahead, David.
I've been up for like 3 hours. I don't know what you boys been doing.
Sleeping.
I get up like really early in the morning. It's like a weird sleep cycle I've been going on where I get up at like 2 or 3 in the morning. So your time, I guess, it's so strange because the daylight savings time in Indiana is kind of funky with how the sun actually lines up. So we have an hour. We're like an hour different than you guys, but we're really not that far away.
So are you in
How
the eastern part of the state, right?
Middle, I think. Kokomo.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it starts at what, Plymouth? The time changes?
Plymouth, Michigan?
No, Plymouth, Indiana.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little north of you. I'm a little further. I was from a little further north around Valpo.
Okay. Now, Valpo, is that the same time in northern Indiana? Remember?
No, that's central. That's central time. Like,
okay.
It breaks right there, and I think I forget which county, but the one just to the right of Stark, because Stark County was still on Central Time, in LaPorte County, and then the next county over is the where Eastern Time starts. Okay, Indiana's weird; it like split the state right in half, the time zone.
Yeah. So I got us talking about time zone. Sorry.
How was your weekend, man?
It's been good. Just working. I work retail, so. And then the Pacers. I don't know if you guys watch NBA basketball at all. They got trounced last night.
Oh, so it's tied up?
Yeah. And it looked like there was just free throw after. It was a pretty boring game to watch, actually. And the first game was the lowest ratings in NBA history since they've been keeping track. So, as an Indiana fan, you're like, we had a great.
Dying.
What's that?
I said the NBA is dying.
Yeah, but I mean, like the Pacers team is fun to watch for like basketball people that, for me, anyways. And so that's what's so bummer about it is like we're in the Crom moment. It's like the lowest rated watch. And last night's game was horrible to watch, really. The commentary, it's done by ABC, and I just thought I don't want to turn this into an NBA broadcast, but it was just a poorly displayed product. And it was free throws like the entire game. It's a game of runs. That's what makes it fun to watch. And you can't get on a run if you have to shoot free throws every time you go down the court.
Yeah, they ruined basketball. They turned it into a sissy game.
Yeah, I guess. But some of the last, like I said, I don't even like this kind of stuff because I don't really like feeding my energy into all that because I know it's all rigged and fixed probably. And there's just too much money that's flowing through. But I have enjoyed watching like the Pacers because of the nostalgia. They've had 4 or 5. They've had 5 like ridiculous comebacks, and it looks pretty fun. It's fun to watch. So I guess
if you want to see how rigged it is, go check out the amount of free throws the Lakers shot more than everybody else.
Oh, I know. I was subject to that. you're bringing up old wounds because the Pacers lost to the Lakers in the final. And it was actually really.
Yeah. They just give those games away.
It's definitely rigged, but, you know, it's like anything else. It's still, I have a lot of nostalgia from it because before I knew that it was rigged, or even back in the day when we were young, I think they let you know about it with computer assistance when you're playing in video games. and you're beating a team that you normally beat regularly, and then somehow they turn super computer human and you can't win games against them for some reason. It's frustrating. It's the same thing. But every time Vegas, you can tell that there's something that happens in these games. Just little things, especially in football and basketball. 2 or 3 little plays can make a big difference, even in big games where there's huge.
I remember the exact night that I lost my love for the NBA. It was the Bulls' second championship win. They were like 3 quarters through the game, and Jordan was allowed to do whatever he wanted. He could foul people, he could travel, and they weren't calling anything on him. And I was a Bulls fan. I was from Chicagoland up there. But I was watching the game, and I was like, this is rigged. They're just letting them do whatever they want, so the Bulls win. I was like, I'm done with this. I went outside before the game ended and went and started finding night crawlers for fishing the next day. Me and my buddy.
A good move.
Yep. But I remember the exact day. I could go find the date. I was like, this is rigged. This is fake. I'm done watching pro basketball.
There were narratives back then, too. Jordan had been through all the the Pistons stuff, and so they basically, I feel like sometimes they give. It's almost in politics too. Sometimes they let presidents become president just because they've been sitting there for so long, and they're like, all right, well let Dole run, I guess. That's kind of how it is with.
I took Liz to her first rodeo over the weekend, and we only got to sit there for maybe like a half hour, and then it started pouring on us.
That sucks.
Yeah, she didn't get the whole rodeo thing, but she got to see a couple guys, riding the bucking Broncos. A couple guys get tossed. One guy actually made it, didn't get knocked off the horse. Then they were starting to lasso the steer, rope the steer, and then tie him up. Just a single guy would go out there. And we got like 3 or 4 of those, and we sat in the rain for a little bit, and it wasn't lightening up. It was getting heavier, and I'm glad we did because it started pouring. And we're all sitting on aluminum seating in a lightning storm. That's the first thing that popped into my head. As soon as I saw lightning, I was like, oh, I don't want to sit here. I'd like to get off of this thing, please. But she had fun. She got to smell some horse poop. Up close and personal.
So she didn't even get to see the bull riding, huh?
Yeah. Nope.
I say that's typically towards the end.
Nope, I'm not. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if it stayed open the whole time, because it was raining. At least by it's so weird, the rain around here. Like in other places I've stayed, it'll rain. South Carolina.
South Carolina.
But we're in all these different little valleys on the side of the mountain. And like some valleys it rains, some valleys it doesn't. Like the storms will break up in this area and get into small little pockets and move through, and then like join forces again. It's really weird. I've never seen anything like it. I've never lived on the side of a mountain before, though.
I always wanted to live in the Carolinas. I always felt called to live there. Beautiful, isn't it?
I love the winter. I mean, I know it gets hot up there in Indiana in the summertime, you know, but we don't get that much snow. Like we'll see
Indiana,
the mid
Indiana's
20s.
flat. It's just
I
kind of
know.
flat, middle of nowhere.
I miss it
It's
so
real-
much, man. The flatness,
It's
it's
strange.
weird.
Yeah,
But
it is
yeah,
strange.
that's the one thing I miss the most out of everything. I mean, when I was out in the desert, it was mostly the trees that I missed. But now that I'm back in the forest area, it's just so hilly around here. There is no like seeing the whole sky around here. There's always a mountain or a hill or something blocking your view, at least in one direction. Like in Indiana, I could go out in the middle of cornfields and look in every direction and just see a huge sky over my head in every direction. Here you can't do that. It's weird.
I like.
But yeah,
the
that's the one
mountains.
thing I miss the most is the flatness.
The mountains are worth the trade-off, though. Probably, I like the mountains, and you got the coast to you. Not, are you close to where you can go to the ocean?
No, about 4 hours. I'm not a big fan
It's
of the
still-
ocean.
You don't like the ocean?
Nah, not really. I had a weird premonition, vision, dream, whatever you want to call it, like 1,000-foot tidal wave. And it's one of those dreams that, like, I'll never forget it, you know? And yeah, no, I've been there, like, I've been in the ocean like 9 times, been to the Gulf since then. But yeah, there's something that tells me no, and I don't go in the ocean. I have too much respect for the ocean, maybe, even if that's a possibility.
I feel like it's like if we were going to really get to the bottom of a lot of questions that we have, if we were able to freely explore just the coastal regions of certain areas, like privately, and we had like people that were really involved that had money, I think you could find stuff out pretty quick. I just think that the water's been displaced, and there's just places where there was even more ancient civilizations that are covered because the water's been displaced.
Yeah, that water's an amazing force, not to be taken lightly.
The Great Lakes are a really interesting area too.
Yeah, I jumped into Lake Michigan. We were way out, like 13 miles out. My uncle's boat. You know, could barely see land in any direction. And it's like only about 60 feet deep for the longest way in the southern end. And then it starts getting real deep towards the north. But yeah, I jumped into that water, and that little voice inside my head said, "Get out of this water right now. You are a fish on a hook." I just had this weird feeling that there was something really big in that water, and I shouldn't be out there.
I think there's something to archetypal nature, honestly. And I think I'm getting into this idea that, because somebody was telling me about omega-3s and how important it is to take omega-3 because it's so connected to your eyes. And I've been into this idea of the endocrine system and how oil-based it is. And I'm just trying to understand, so much comes from fishing and eating fish. But I think some people are more biologically, I think people are herders. I think people are fishers. And I think some people probably are really adverse to the water, just naturally through their archetypal nature.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a child, I was a fish. Like, I lived in the pools, and I'd go fishing just about every day. And then, I had that dream. I mean, I'll go to lakes and ponds. I don't go fishing anymore. I never ate the fish. No. No, Lake Michigan fish I'm not eating anything coming out of that water. We'd go up to Minnesota fishing every year in the boundary waters, where you can just drink the water right out of the rivers without doing anything to it. I would eat those fish. But that was pretty much, because there wasn't a hamburger place around or anything like that. It was, you eat fish or you're eating powdered eggs for breakfast. So I ate fish. So I'm not totally against eating fish. I just really am careful about where I eat fish from, if that makes sense.
I don't like fish. I don't like anything about it. They stink. I don't like the taste of it. So I'm kind of with you. I just don't really care to eat fish.
Yeah, my first, I've been fishing since I was like 3 years old. But my first memory of fishing is holding that bluegill in my hand and getting the slime and poop all over my hands and then smelling that. And that's what that's what that smell reminds me of. Not eating fish or a nice clean fish, but a slimy fish that just pooped on me. And that's what that smell relates to when I smell it.
Good morning, gentlemen.
What about you, Jack? Oh, was that Andrew B?
That's me.
That is Andrew B.
What's going on, Andrew?
Oh, not much at the moment. I'm going to be going to bed here in a little while, but I'm here for the stream at the moment because I missed the stream I was supposed to be on earlier on Tinfoil Sombrero. But in regards to fish, my dad, once he realized that I hated going fishing and everyone else, he sold his boat, and then he learned more about that. And a lot of the fish here in the Bay Area, in the San Francisco Bay, he realized that if you can't see 10 feet down in the water, you probably shouldn't be fishing in that water. Along with, you probably shouldn't be getting into that water. That's why I quit surfing. And that's where a lot of the waste that's being deposited from large areas, and it's all around the U.S., by the way, and it goes about 50 miles out. And you can see this on a helicopter ride. Yeah, once you get 50 miles out, you can see where the waistline.
Yeah, Lake Michigan has one of those. Lake Michigan has it where you see the brown water turn into blue water once you get so far away from Chicago. That's when I haven't been swimming in Lake Michigan since I was 18 years old, and I lived around there till I was 40. I've been to the beach, 100 times after that, but I don't go into the water. Not down there. Maybe up north where it's a lot cleaner, but no, that's brown, dirty, nasty, toxic waste water coming out of the little Calumet River just pouring into Lake Michigan. A slow-moving river that doesn't freeze in negative 10-degree water? No, that's not water. That's more chemical than water.
Yeah. The regular freezing temperature of water is negative 28 degrees. Of salt water is negative 28 versus regular water at regular 1HG is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, it's very different. So if it's negative 10, there's a problem with that.
Yeah, and it doesn't freeze over, and it's not like Colorado River rushing through somewhere. No, this is a small little river that just barely flows, but it never freezes. Yep. Nope, not going in there.
It's where a lot of people, I think, well, George Carlin said it the best when he was basically discussing how back in the day they would swim in shit water. So I forget how he said that. I'm sure everyone's heard that skit before. He's like, yeah, we built up our immune systems because we were swimming in sewage or something like that. I'm like, yeah, I don't recommend that, but
that's how we get polio.
Is polio really a thing?
I think it's just whatever sickness you get from eating and drinking your own shit and piss. That's probably what they call it. I'm sure you can get all kinds of horrible things from it, parasites and whatnot. I don't know. I don't know if polio is real.
I don't even want.
I don't know if disease is real.
What is polio?
I don't
What
even
is
know.
it? I don't either.
Let's see. The disease they
Well, my
use to
computer
push
ends.
vaccines. You know, polio was
I feel like it's
98% eradicated before the vaccines even started.
I feel like it's spinal related.
Yeah, it destroys nerve cells in the spinal cord.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they also say
Transmitted through
that the whole
food.
the coffee cough thing was a real thing too. But
What polio
knows?
though? What is it, like a virus?
Yeah, they say it's the polio virus.
How did it get in it? How did you get polio?
Contaminated water and food or contact with an infected person, yada, yada, yada. They
And it's
say
been
many
eradicated?
people who are infected with polio don't become sick and have no symptoms.
So polio's still running around. We just don't get sick from it anymore because of the vaccines, is what they're saying.
It could.
But it just went away.
Well, yeah, when we started putting in sewage systems all over the country and quit drinking our own, people up the
So
river
people-
shitting in the river, and then we gather the water downstream and drink it.
Right.
Yeah, it can't be good,
the people that I always look towards to find out if illnesses might be legitimate or not is these people here known as the Amish, who have very long lifespans, very few illnesses that ever occur, and they don't take any vaccinations. They don't do anything. They don't go to doctors.
I think they're pretty
So,
big into bestiality,
wonder-
too, from the way I understand it. I wonder if that's got anything to do with it.
Whoa, that went sideways quick. Damn, Josh.
Not my fault. I didn't make him do it.
I've watched a lot of Amish documentaries, and that was never mentioned. But then again, I guess that wouldn't be, right?
Yeah, no, it's one of those things on the down low. I think it's, frowned upon for sure.
All right.
But I think it happens pretty consistently.
All right. Well, I'm not going
Well.
to think about that anymore.
Living out in the country, I've heard stories. I'll just say that. I'm not going to get graphic about it, but
Have you guys?
yeah,
so what do
old
you guys
Johnny
think?
getting caught with the
What do
sheep
you
or
guys
something
think?
like that is not unheard of.
Have you heard the idea of the fact that the plumbing was so rudimentary in these large cities that they should have planned for that if there was actually a need for it? And some people say that at one time people didn't have digestive systems, and possibly there wasn't a need for these in these structures. And so when we came to repopulate and everybody was pooping and peeing, they had no way to get rid of it. So they had to go back and re-put into these same structures. That's one of the underlying theories.
Well, that's how they allegedly say that the cholera and dysentery, as well as there's one more too. What was that happening? I think cholera was in England. Dysentery has been everywhere, and then I think it was like the bubonic plague. They say it was due to it didn't have to do necessarily with like rats and deer and mice and shit like that. But I think that's what they said that the bubonic plague was associated with unhygienic conditions because of the massively growing populations and the poor hygienic conditions that happened to exist at the time.
Well, those conditions still exist in a lot. I mean, the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, doesn't have a sewage system underneath it. They ship out truckloads of shit daily.
That's weird.
What do they do with it?
No sewage system in the. I don't know. I'm not sure.
That's some fuel or something.
Seems like you would utilize it. Right, piss you can use to make black powder, so you can save your piss to reinforce your weapon arsenals.
We're human processors. They send us stuff through our food, and we process it out, and they take it and use it for something.
Yeah.
All of our waste.
All right, well, that's the break. We're going to take one. Don't you folks go anywhere, because we've still got the second half of the first half of the Ironworks. And it's just a slow morning. I'm still not awake. Let me see if I can go.
Everybody go poop.
Mainline some coffee. Maybe that'll help. And yeah, maybe poop will help too. Poop never hurt. All right, we'll be back.
Some make a living hammering steel. Some earn their wage working the fields. And others grind wheat on the riverside. Some make whiskey at harvest time. But I spend my days up in these hills. I'm alone. I'm a skinny knife in a buckskin jacket. I'm a hardwood ridgeline runner. I'm a man who deals in flint and steel, charcoal, saltpeter, and sulfur. And on my way around this wooded ground no other white man's discovered. I'm a lone hunter. Cook my deer in black bear grease, cache my furs in caves and trees. So if the Shawnee ever cut my track, I can hightail and just come back. Gotta keep your powder dry and barrel clean. I'm alone. I'm a skinny knife in a buckskin jacket. I'm a hardwood ridgeline runner. I'm a man who deals in flint and steel, charcoal, saltpeter, and sulfur. And on my way around this wooded ground no other white man's discovered. I'm a lone hunter. Long hunter. I'm a skinny knife in a buckskin jacket. I'm a hardwood ridgeline runner. I'm a man who deals in flint and steel, charcoal, saltpeter, and sulfur. And on my way around this wooded ground no other white man's discovered. I'm a lone hunter. I love the sweet song of a wood thrush calling through the trees right before dusk. Can't think of a place I'd rather be than out here, my maker and me. So until the day I return to dust, I'll be a long hunter. I'll be a long hunter.
Good morning. Ding, ding, ding. Alan. I like Ironworks because it's where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
I love Ironworks with Josh, Walt, and Zack. It's like sitting in your front room having a cosy chat with your best friends.
Hi, it's Diva here, and I just want you to know that Ironworks with Josh, Walt, and Zack, it's definitely my favourite dose of reality. Come join the family and keep it flat.
Why sleep in when you could get your dose of iron in the morning? Listen to the Ironworks.
This is Enlightened Dawn. Roses are red, violets are blue. Ironrealmmedia is the best on the plane. To this show, I will forever be true. You guys are truly the best, and I love you guys. I'm so thankful to have you in my life.
Do you like listening to space letters from Never a Straight Answer? Then tune in to The Ironworks with Zack, Walter, and Josh. Break clear of the fear on the Ironworks and become an Iron Scout.
And welcome back. Second half of the first half, kicking off now. And the answer is salmon. I'm a big fan of salmon. Like, not a whole lot of other fish that I really like. I've had shark on occasion that's pretty good, but salmon, I'm just a sucker for salmon.
Walleye.
I'm a halibut fan myself, but
walleye is pretty good eating, especially if you bread it.
One thing I've heard about salmon is that they actually have to dye it like a pink color, but it's not naturally that color if you get it out of a natural river or something. Someone told me that a long time ago. I forget who it was.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's anything we eat that isn't dyed anymore in one way or another. So did you guys see Trump put the National Guard without Gavin Newsom's approval into California for 60 days?
I was just about to mention that. Oh my goodness, you stole my thunder.
2,000 National Guardsmen without the governor's consent sent to LA and places like that because of the ice raid riots that are going on out there.
Yeah, it's like the fucked up thing about this, it's not immoral to say, oh, by the way, you committed a crime by coming here illegally, and then from there you were convicted in a court of law for like X, Y, and Z crimes. Like, I mean, you just pick your flavor. Like felony convictions. Then they got released back out into the public. And then ICE went to pick them up because they're a danger and a menace to society. And everyone's like, oh, no, you can't do that. It's like, yeah, yes, they can. And they should have done that a long time ago. This is a weird conundrum as to why people are doing it. I think this type of situation is sort of like how the BLM stuff was going on. Just basically giving people a reason to riot. Like, oh, I've never set a car on fire before. Don't worry, I'll be mixed in with a whole bunch of other people, and I can just set a bunch of cars on fire and just steal a bunch of shit, like the LA riots back in 1992, after the Rodney King situation.
Yeah, I saw videos of people just destroying like big giant concrete barrier things that are like, along roadways so pedestrians don't get hit if a car goes flying off. Just sitting there with hammers and stuff. What is that doing to help anything? Like, say, somebody is coming into your house to take your cousin away or something like that, and you just start smashing holes in the wall with a hammer while they're doing it.
Yeah, but they're called bollards. What they're doing, I think, is they were smashing it up just enough to the point where random people can come by and pick up those pieces and throw them at the police and the National Guard. I mean, it takes a lot of effort and energy to actually do that with a what is it, a 13-ounce hammer or something?
Yeah, a little ball peen hammer or something, sitting there wailing away at a concrete slab. It's a lot of energy.
When the National Guard comes into a situation like that, do they take over like the FBI, or are they there to facilitate facilitate. I really don't know how the structure works.
No, they do. Well, yes, they do. They basically have jurisdiction at that point. But at the same point, they also work alongside the LAPD. And I didn't find out about this until today because I don't watch the news. But they're going to be working with the local police forces and also the FBI if they ever come in, and then Homeland Security and all that kind of stuff. But
it's so interesting though that it's really anti-Republican platform for a federal entity to come in and jurisdict upon a local entity. But it's such a conundrum because it's against like the principles of what I think most core Republicans really want. We don't want our federal military to come in and enforce deportation, do we?
Yeah. Why not?
Because I don't want the federal doing nothing, honestly, especially over the compartmentalized. At least I have some control over. If I live in California, I definitely don't want federal coming in and saying we're taking over because we want to move stuff out of here that, regardless of what my feelings are, where I'm at and my rights of.
Well, it's happened here in my city.
Living in Indiana, Indiana's pretty nice.
I'm just saying,
and safe, and
it's not what the apparatus of what I want to be pushing for.
If there were riots going on in your particular hometown right now, and the local police force couldn't handle it, would you be okay with the National Guard coming in to try and settle things down so that your house doesn't get set on fire and you don't get murdered in that kind of situation? Like, if there's no law enforcement, then it's a whole separate situation.
Right. I'm just saying, as a Republican core belief, typically Republicans wouldn't want federal coming in.
No, we don't.
Strange. And I would say what I smell is like, you guys, there's always these flagpole events, and I could see like a whole Boston, I don't want to put it out into the ether, but some kind of like a Kent State kind of thing happening that pushes this big, huge narrative of us versus something that we're really. So it's just such a weird hypocrisy. But I could see a social movement being created because of a staged event now because of this situation there.
The primary reason the National Guard exists is for that situation, when the local police forces are basically being taken over by local militia or just like riots or something like that. And that's when the National Guard comes in and they shut shit down. Like, they'll use every single thing that that the police forces have. They'll come in with 10 to 20 times as many people. And they've done this many, many times, yes, at Kent State and also in Chicago in the 60s or 70s. And they're doing it right now. And it's not the first or last time it's going to happen.
They just did it in New York not that long ago. They had National Guard in New York watching the subways. Because it was so crazy down there, the police couldn't do it.
You know, there's more people in the NYPD than there is in the actual entire U.S. Coast Guard. I found that out from one of my buddies.
Yeah, no, it's a huge force, the NYPD.
Yeah, but there's like, out of the 5 boroughs, they've only got like 25,000 police officers or something like that. But what you think is like, oh, that's a large amount, but not really. When you think about that, there's 10 million people in New York City.
1 million people is a lot of people. I hear New York City, though, is losing people left and right. Florida, Texas, North Carolina, Georgia. Like, there's so many people moving out of blue states, California and New York especially, and they're relocating. They're saying the Republican Party is going to gain like 34 seats in the House just from if the states stayed the same. Like, this isn't the swing states, but just the regular states that stay the same most of the time. They're going to gain like 34 seats or something like that from California, New York, and a couple other places that people are leaving in droves.
All right, here's the question then. I don't know the answer to this. Just wondering if anyone does. And I'm sorry, I'm not looking at chat right now. I do apologize because I can only access Teams free on my phone at the moment because my computer, it'll log me out of my class. Is it possible to have 100% of Democrat in the Senate and 100% of Democrat in the House? Is that even possible? Is it allowed? Or vice versa?
I'm not sure. Well, I don't know.
There's nothing that would prevent that from happening, I don't think.
Didn't Reagan win every one but like Minnesota or something like that? Well, that was just for a presidential. That wasn't like congressional. No, I don't know if you held every seat in the House. They would never allow that, probably, Andrew, because then everybody'd be on the same side, right? And they don't want that. They want Hegelian dialect.
Oh, that's true.
Isn't it
divide and conquer?
Isn't it interesting though that the original party was called Democratic Republican or Republic? I think is what it was called. Like original.
No, it was called the Federalist Party.
No, and then there was like a Republican Democrat Party that was like the same. They were the same party, and then that split.
I just know that George Washington was associated with the Federalist Party.
An anti-federalist was the very beginning. Yeah.
Or yeah, I guess something like that. I wasn't alive back then.
That's all interesting. The way it's a formulated story, anyways. I think possibly.
It's all someone's story.
Here's a funny story, and I don't have much else aside from this. I might just be listening in after this. But according to space.com, this is my space letters for this morning. The caption of this says, in our spacesuit collection for movies, we have replicas of pretty much every historic spacesuit that's been into space. How the son of an aerospace machinist built some of Hollywood's most iconic astronaut looks. And it goes down. I wish I could share my screen at the moment, but I can't. And going down. Offering considerably more authentic spacesuits than your local Spirit Halloween store. Chris Gillam's Local Effects is a one-stop shop for Hollywood directors, set decorators, and costume designers when it comes to projects requiring both advanced crew escape suits, ACES, and extra vehicular mobility suits. And it just goes on from there. So they're basically saying, yeah, so Hollywood's been using the same thing that NASA has. And you got to go onto space.com and actually see this. It's laughable. I mean, it's just as bad as like when Mexico said they're going to create a space catapult.
The space catapult.
Yeah, it's like, we're going to shoot a whole bunch of CDs off of this thing, and they have wheels on them. Don't mind that one. It's Mexico.
Did you guys see the symbol in the sky they had like over Ukraine, and then they had a couple other places where it's like a swirl thing? Anomaly. They say it was a SpaceX explosion.
Yeah. I remember the one over Norway back in like 2011 or 2010 that just totally fucked my brain. It might have even been before then. It might have been quite a while ago. The Norway spiral.
The Norway spiral?
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought this was recent, but maybe I was.
They do. It was.
Painted.
The Norway spiral I'm talking about was a while back. I do remember seeing several in the news over the last month or so.
Are they related, the Norway and these other spirals? It's interesting looking.
It's very interesting looking. The one in Norway, just thinking back now, I can still remember watching it for the first time, and it just totally messing with my brain. Just totally sent me into that cognitive dissonant, what the fuck was that? when it disappeared, it was one thing to see it, but the way it disappeared, I think, is what messed me up on that Norway spiral. Like, there was just something not right about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was into Nibiru and all that stuff.
Uh-huh. Ian and Post are both saying that was the Norway spiral appeared on the very day that Obama arrived to get his Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, that does similar to what they were showing in the ones that were more recent. It didn't have the tail on the ones that are more recent. It was more like interesting.
Yeah, Norway definitely reminded me of a wormhole more than it did anything else. Like, I don't know how that, because I'm pretty sure I saw the explanation even then that it was supposed to have been some sort of rocket exhaust. But it just can't see how that's right.
Old Greta Thunberg's back in the news again.
Yeah. She done been kidnapped by the Jews.
Yep. She was Gaza bound to give
How old is
aid.
she now?
Like 40?
I think she's like 22, 23. Yes. I don't know.
But,
How dare you?
Comedians are having a field day. Comedians are just having a
yeah, she's
field day.
22. Her net worth is 100,000. How do people even know that? This is just what the internet's telling me.
I see no reason to doubt that then.
Yeah, she's probably worth a lot more than that. Yeah, 4'11", and then she's from Stockholm. Okay. Yeah. She's a puppet.
She needs to point that "how dare you" at her parents for stealing her childhood.
You have stolen my dreams, my childhood.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad.
What is she back in the news about?
She got kidnapped by the Jews.
She was, yeah, for real. She was trying to get aid to Palestine on a boat, and the Israelis have a blockade up around Palestine.
The Freedom Flotilla, as I recall. She boarded the Freedom Flotilla and was bringing aid to the Gaza Strip. But IDF intercepted and took into custody all on board and will ship them back to their respective countries. And they say, according to the news, that the IDF will then carry all of that food and aid on to Gaza to the Palestinians. Because that's how nice they are.
All right. It's odd.
No, they were
Probably
expecting
not
it.
staged
She
at all.
actually had a pre-recorded message about what to do now that she's been kidnapped. So that when she got kidnapped, they could just release that pre-recorded message. Like,
her manifesto?
No, it was a message about being kidnapped by the IDF. Like, she knew when she got on board the Freedom Flotilla that she was probably going to be kidnapped by the IDF once they intercepted the aid ship. So she was fully expecting it. Remember that time she went and got arrested by the police and they had the big photo op opportunity and everybody came through and took pictures of her in handcuffs and then it was just kind of, that was it.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is the same thing.
She was being carried away by like 4 police officers?
Yep, same thing, only on a larger scale and in the ocean. It's exactly what this is. They said, all right, we're going to get on board this boat, and then we're going to get arrested by the IDF, and then we'll be able to bring awareness and all this other bullshit. I guarantee it that this was not like a big surprise kidnapping. Like, she boarded the boat with that pre-recorded message, so we know she was expecting it. Just more theater.
How old was she when she did that thing?
Like 4?
How dare you?
I don't know.
No. She was in her like early to mid-teens, I think. Like 14 or 15, I think. she's up on stage and doing the whole speech?
Yeah. I don't know. Not of legal age. I'm pretty sure she was still just a kid.
So that anomaly did happen just recently on May 25th. It was over Ukraine. It was a blue-colored spiral-shaped, so it looks very similar to what you guys were talking about with that one before. They say it's a SpaceX. It was created by frozen fuel tumbling from a SpaceX rocket. But there's a bunch of footage of it. It's pretty interesting looking. I don't know if it is possibly just what it is, but they come up with these explanations now using SpaceX for basically everything that happens in the sky. I don't know how to link it. You guys see it? Or do I keep bringing it back to something that's not that important?
No, this sky has been crazy. Like, I've seen so many two suns in the sky video now. People capturing, it's not a solar flare or anything like that. I've seen it from England, India, Russia. This is all just searching Flat Earth today, and it's not even anything about Flat Earth, but there's all kinds of videos of people posting seeing two suns, usually when the sun's either rising or setting. You'll see the sun we always see, and then like off to the side, a little bit higher, you'll see another sun up there.
Yeah, and Crow 777 actually did a really great, I think it was 2 or 3 videos about this, where he was saying, no, it's not a sun flare, it's not a camera flare or anything like that.
Yeah, not a lens flare either.
Yeah. It's like, well, what the fuck could it be then? Is it another sun, or is it something that people can't explain? Well, people wouldn't be able to explain a second sun, first of all. But yeah, it's a very interesting topic to delve into, but if you ask NASA, they'd be like, oh, no, yeah, you're just not using your equipment correctly. Okay.
Yeah. I remember an old video of they were watching the sun for I think it was Mercury or Venus, the transit. And the guy sitting there talking about it, he works at the observatory and all that kind of stuff. And they kept showing like the sun, and then right next to it was what looked like another sun. And at one point, just real quick, it was like maybe lasted 10 seconds long. He's like, yes, what you're seeing there, that is Earth's second sun. NASA and the space agencies don't like to talk about it. You can't see it with your naked eye or this or that, but there it is, Earth's second sun. And now we're going to talk to so-and-so about this and that and blah, blah, blah. And that was it. That's all he said about it. Like, whoa. I still have that saved.
This blue spiral, it looks yin-yang-y to me. It looks like yin-yang. It looks like polarity, basically. There's two little things that swirl around each other. So I don't know. I think there's something to the toroidal. I don't think it's a place where the toroidal field is, but maybe something like that. I feel like we might be looking at it up or optically. It's hard to see. And if it's different directions, there's a bunch of different footage of it. But even if it is something that's just like the explosion, it's interesting to see how it is happening in the sky. I'm just intrigued by it. That's why I keep bringing it back to it.
Man, I don't know where this is, though. It's from the SLU Observatory. The video's like 8 hours long, and it's somewhere in here. There's no way I'm going to find it right now. I used to have it time-stamped. Yeah, I'm never going to find it. No. I'll drop it in chat for people, though, if you'd like to go try and find it yourself. Yeah, it's the 2016 transit of Mercury. We'll drop that into the chat for you good folks. But we are at it. We done did another one.
We done did do another one somehow. Of course, I don't have anything picked out, so I'll just kind of do random.
3 hours and 18 minutes in. Thank you, Melissa. We done found it.
We'll do a little Holly. All right, don't you folks go anywhere because we've got a whole another hour. What am I coming up right after this?
You and me, we agree on what we need. We feel, we see, we live to be free. But the rain still comes washing out the sun. Let the confusion wonder where it started from. Another time and space, another worry face lights up the place. Oh, when your legs are feeling heavy and now your break you slow. Everything is moving fast and you've lost your flow. Steady living in the past cause it's all you know. The kind of loving that you crave when you feel alone. To change your path to a brand new great unknown. Another future is welcoming you home. And now breathe and let go. Relax and go slow. Let your mind untangle. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And now breathe and let go. Relax and go slow. Let your life unfold. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And now breathe and let go. Relax and go slow. Let your mind untangle. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And now breathe and let go. Relax and go slow. Let your life unfold. Sound came down like it knocked the town. People dancing round. When the love was found, it was a golden wave washing out the pain. Same by yesterday. When your legs are feeling heavy and now you're breaking slow. Everything is moving fast and you've lost your flow. You steady living in the past cause it's all you know. The kind of loving that you crave when you feel alone. Change your path to a brand new great unknown. Another future is welcoming you home. Now breathe and let go. Relax and go slow. Let your mind untangle. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And now breathe and let go. Relax and go slow. Let your life unfold. And now breathe and let go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And now breathe and let go. And now breathe and let go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now breathe and let go.
People always talk to me about when I was young, when I was running up and down the buildings, getting the pigeons for all these drug dealers. I mean, these guys were bad people. They wanted to kill me. They were throwing bricks at me. I thought I was in a nightmare. I didn't know if this was reality or if this was the truth. That's why I always wish that ironrealmmedia was around back then, because I didn't know what was truth or not. So now I listen to ironrealmmedia all the time. Now I'm walking around the earth and I'm thinking to myself, yes, guess what? This earth is flat indeed.
Good morning. I'm here. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up!
What is dark matter?
Okay, we don't know.
That's great. That's why it's called dark.
It's exactly.
Where everyone knows all reputable information comes from random people on the internet. Tell me things, internet. The earth is flat. It's like school in your hand.
Okay, dark matter is something we do not know what it is. We believe the dark matter is there, but we have never detected it. Well, what I'm afraid of course, is that there is no dark matter out there. There was one? There is no dark matter out there. We need to think really hard.
Fucking thing sucks! And welcome back. It is the first half of the second half of the IRONWORX, streaming live on both YouTube and on Rumble.
You've seen that video before, right, Josh?
Which?
The one where they're watching the transit and the guy says, yeah, there's our second son. Yeah. He sounded genuine to me. And Big Pine in chat's like, if he was joking, that dude has a robotic sense of humor. You know, because that was matter of fact. Yeah. I know they say British humor. He sounds British. And some of them have a really dry sense of humor. I've heard people claiming that he was just joking. But it didn't sound like a joke to me. Just saying. But it sounded like he was being pretty matter-of-fact like.
So you can see with your naked eye Mercury in the right conditions, is that right?
I have. It's only for
but we don't know like
between 1 and 2 weeks, a couple times a year.
So there's something up there
from the sun
for sure. We don't have near as much physical evidence or optical evidence of Mercury as we do like the moon, though, right? We can't.
No. Yeah, most of the time it's not visible. Only right at dawn or dusk, and only for about 20 minutes at a time.
But it's always there. Like you can see it. You can't see it like with infrared, whatever other ways optically you can see.
I'm not really sure. I've only ever tried to find it with a telescope. So yeah, it's just got to be perfect conditions, and you have a real short amount of time to catch it. You got to be out there when it happens, or else that's it. It's gone for another 6 months.
I feel like Mercury is a much more significant like influence because it's so much intertwined into astrology. I feel like its actual presence, and I think it has something to do with our oils. I think that there's something to do with Mercury's effect on like the oil base of the realm, but I might be wrong.
Well, that was one of the in alchemy. You had your mercuries, your sulfurs, and your salts. And I believe mercury was the oils. The sulfur is the alcohol. I could have that backwards. And then your salts are just the salts. It makes up the matrix that, like, a salt would be considered the thin membrane around the cell that's holding all the stuff together within that. And then there's your alcohol and your oils that are doing everything else. But the salt is like the structure. Like of a building, the salt would be like the iron pillars and the concrete walls. And then the mercury and the sulfur would be all the people and stuff inside.
So intertwined is oil and sulfur are intertwined?
Yeah, there's your alcohol and your oils.
Okay.
And every plant has alcohol in it. Everything has alcohol in it.
I know. I thought that was interesting. I heard recently that like the prohibition that we had in the 20s was actually not about drinking. It was more about alcohol and the fuel aspects of alcohol, because they were trying to reduce the use of alcohol so that oil would be used more prevalently.
Yeah, isn't it, Josh, that they started putting oil into gasoline so people wouldn't drink it? Ethanol? I don't think we actually need oil in there, in our gasoline.
That's what the premise was.
I'm not sure.
And then the mercury, it's so strange how everybody had mercury in their hats. It's just so weird. That time frame is so strange.
Well, even now, a 2-cycle engine requires a mixture.
Well, yeah, that's because it's doing the lubricating and everything. It doesn't have its own oil system. I'm not sure.
I just think that Mercury moves around and has an effect on our realm, and that effect is just there, whether we're using it or not, and people have learned how to use it. And I think there's probably something that has to do with where it is in relation to the other whatever those are, celestials up there. And it probably has to do with our salts too, if there's a big base between. But it's interesting that we can only see it. I really don't know. I need to look more into Mercury. It is very interesting how much it does play with our realm.
Yeah, they want to keep us disconnected from all that, though.
Yeah.
What do they say? Millionaires use whatever, but millionaires don't have astrologers. Billionaires do.
Right.
And they still do. Like I'm sure that President Trump has his spiritual advisors, much in the way John D. was a spiritual advisor.
Mm-hmm. That's that secret world we don't get to hear about. I went through the John Wicks again over the last week. And I've seen all the fighting scenes and all that stuff. So I just fast forward through that and I just watch the storyline. It's really good. It really is. Just the whole underground world and how they work. And, you know, they're in plain sight. They walk around among us. But we know nothing of that world.
Did you watch
the ballerina? A totally different world. No.
No, you didn't include the new John Wick one?
Is it out yet?
I thought.
Oh, I did see a movie go by called Ballerina, but I didn't know it had anything to do with the John Wick saga.
I think it's that, I don't think it's like a John Wick movie, but I think it's that John Wick universe that you were talking about.
They're rebranding.
I'm going to have to check that out.
The John Wick is awesome. It is really kind of a cool whole story. The dog thing in the beginning, the way that's done. And I think it gave Keanu Reeves a lot more credit. I mean, Matrix was really good, but then when you throw John Wick on top, it pretty much defines his career, makes him pretty relevant. And Bill and Ted. He's versatile, Keanu Reeves.
Point Break. He's had some blockbusters throughout the years.
Sure. And he was kind of being made fun of for a long time for being a bad actor, like from the Speed movies, where he's like, "What are you gonna do?"
Yeah.
He somehow became. I like him. I think I don't know what he's probably got bad stuff going on. It's hard. I think if we really knew the truth on like what that movie's trying to reveal to us, if we really knew how dark and bad it is in a lot of places, it would really make us distaste what we watched.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, I got disconnected. But yes, the new Ballerina is out. And if you remember watching, I forget if it's the first or second John Wick, the point where he goes into that one Russian training area where they have the ballerinas that are just training so fucking hard. And then like go backstage, they have like all the guys that are just like wrestling, learning hand-to-hand combat.
Mm-hmm.
And it was supposed to be a Japanese girl, but I guess she got uncasted from it, and now it's going to be I can't remember what her name is. But yeah, she's playing the part of because like even the ballerinas allegedly are trained as assassins, but they're just trained differently. I guess that's the premise of it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If you've never seen the John Wick movies, even the homeless guys sitting on the side of the street begging for change, they pull their sleeve back, and he's got like $100,000 Rolex, and he's part of this underground society, and he's an information guy. He sits out there so he could watch and then tell people what's going on. They're part of what's called the Bowery, the lowest part of their society, but they still are rich compared to normal people. Yeah, it's a wild movie.
It's got pretty good ratings. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm planning on seeing it this coming weekend. And the premise of it, according to IMDb, is an assassin trained in the traditions of the Ruska Roma organization sets out to seek revenge after her father's death. Which, okay. And the last John Wick, even though it still has Keanu Reeves in it, and spoiler alert, if you guys haven't seen the fourth one, if you guys don't want to hear it, I won't say it.
No, I've seen it.
Okay. Yeah, John Wick allegedly dies. That was supposed to be the finale of it.
Now, they never show him like slump over or anything like that, or them carrying his body. They just show him sitting on some steps, and then it goes, and there's a couple guys standing there and at his gravestone. Now, just because there's a gravestone doesn't mean that there's a body down there. That's what I was thinking.
Well, it could be like a montage.
Maybe that's his way of getting out for good.
Isn't it interesting?
The whole premise of the movie was John Wick made it out of that. Like, once you get into these societies, you don't get to just walk away. Like, you're part of that for life.
I'm fine. Yeah, it's no big deal. You have to...
Well, yeah, he had to go kill a whole bunch of people to get out.
Oh,
right?
I did too. I know. It's kind of weird, right? But...
and then he got sucked back in.
I really do like those movies, but it's so unreal. It is cool to watch. It's very cool. It's a lot of violence. It's a lot of violence. You just have to basically saddle up. But I like the premise of the Continental. The Continental is really the whole idea, the underground networking. There's so much there. And it probably is that. No, the Continental is the name of the place, I think. The Secret Society Hotel.
Oh, I know. I know what you're talking about, yeah. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, that was the New York building. So there's no business.
Yeah, that was...
these are all assassins and stuff like that work for the families. And one of the rules is when you're in these certain buildings, right? These certain, like, they're all mostly hotels. You're not allowed. No violence, no business allowed on Continental grounds.
Like Papa Midnight's in Constantine.
Like
I just saw Constantine mentioned in chat, and now you were talking about this, and it made me think what a good spin-off that Papa Midnight's place from Constantine would have been. Just that one bar where it was a neutral space, and the demons and the angels had to all get along.
Yep. No fighting on the grounds. Those are the rules. And if you break the rules, you get outed by both sides, right? There are rules.
Yeah, you become,
and you have to live by them. You break the rules, and you get to go live with the animals, us normal people.
Well, they call
Their
it
rules
excommunicanto.
separate them from us. Yeah, you get excommunicated. In Secret Service society, it would be disavowed, right? They all have their own little lingo and all that kind of stuff. But the same thing, you're blackballed. You don't get to use our services. You don't get to nothing. All the secret perks that you get that normal people never even know about, you no longer have access to that. You're just like a normal person now with a mark on your head.
And that probably exists in real life, too, just in a world that we don't will ever see. But pop quiz in regards to John Wick, because he has done that whole thing before where he's like taking a shower and he has that big tattoo on his back, and I don't know what it means. So I know what it means in English, but I can't remember how to say it. Do you guys know what it means? You guys ever saw it?
It's an upside down cross, isn't it?
Something like that. I haven't seen it in a while, but I had to like pause the movie and look it up. Yeah, and it stands for Fortune Favors the Bold. And
it makes me wonder, is this the type of thing that Nathan Reynolds grew up in? He was trained at a young age. I met him in Dallas. He is a truther. He's from the Reynolds rap family. Nathan Reynolds. He's an actual Reynolds from the Reynolds rap. People who own that. And he like, you've heard of Reynolds rap, right? The clingy stuff, Saran wrap stuff.
Yep.
Reynolds rap. That's his.
Oh, so he's super rich then.
Super rich, like secret society family type rich. And he tells his story. He found, God and this and that, but he tells a story about how he was trained at a very young age, child, not at way preteen, to be an assassin with a blade. He was not hugged by his mother. He wasn't shown any type of affection or love from his parents. He had a handler from a very young age, and he was trained to be an assassin. Now, he tells this story openly now, and he says the only reason he's allowed to is because he has Jesus Christ and this and that is, protecting him. It's a wild story, man. I would, if you want to get a glimpse into, this in reality, not in Hollywood, he gives at least what he's seen.
Does tin have any? Yeah, does tin have any relationship with tinfoil, or tin have any relationship with mercury? Just to tie these two together, is that the tinfoil hat thing? Does that have any relevance to like? What is that for? Why are you trying to wear tin over your
that's
hat?
for blocking radio signals. Putting on a tinfoil hat, creating like a Faraday cage around your head.
So it's for more electric.
Yeah.
Is there anything? Does tin have anything to do with mercury? Is it like a repellent of mercury, or?
I'm not sure. I haven't got to play with mercury too much. I've heard, I've read all kinds of stuff about it, but I want to play with mercury.
I tried to Google it, and what I found was tin and mercury form an amalgam, particularly when used in creating mirrors, known as tin-mercury amalgam mirrors.
Yeah, be careful with mercury. Even if it gets on your skin, it can seep through your pores, and it can poison you. And that's how Isaac Newton died.
Yeah, that's refined mercury, though. I want the mercury they have in India, where they handle it, they eat it. It's like in an almost solid form. Unless you hold it too long, your body temperature can turn it into liquid. But it's like this, like gooey paste, like silvery looking stuff. And they put different seasonings over it, and then they slice it up and eat it.
I'll pass.
The Philosopher's Stone. The whole idea that Newton was trying to do. He got that from India. They have these mercury type. It's like a little thing they wear around a necklace. It almost looks like a socket, but without the hex head at one end. It just has a hole going through the center. And they'll take gold leaf and wrap it around this stone, this piece of metal that they have, and the metal just absorbs the gold. And you lay the gold leaf onto it, and it just like melds right into it. And then they say that they could take this when they're out, walking far distances and stuff like that, and say they don't know if the water's clean or not. They'll get a cup of the water, and then they dip that thing into it, and it purifies the water. Allegedly. But that's the whole idea of the philosopher's stone and mercury, kind of.
Yeah, so dowsing, I think, has a lot of the same kind of quantitative properties when people say, that, oh, yeah, it's absolutely true. I've tried doing it. I couldn't get it to work. But they said it has to do with purpose and if your intention of getting it to work. And dowsers, professional ones, they're like, oh, yeah, it definitely works. And I tried and tried. But then it also has to do with something called dielectric attraction. So I don't know exactly how the mercury versus and gold or impurities in water would necessarily work, but dielectric attraction could definitely be a factor in that. If you don't know what that is, I don't have time to explain.
By it. He had like 35 acres up in Upper Peninsula, Michigan, and it's a lot of rock up there. And he was having trouble finding a well. He had like 3 different well guys come out and drill in places they thought they'd find water and this and that, and never found water. So he called this old guy out that was a dowser. He didn't believe in it. And the old guy went out, bloop, 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 to 25 feet straight down right here. And they dug a hole 25 feet down, and there was water there. Now, my uncle has been known to tell tall stories. I'll say that.
It says it was a common practice, mercury, to make mirrors. That's what one of the big applications that they did use for during the 16, 17, 18. So it was commonly used to make mirrors.
Yeah, before they came up with the whirling speculum, which was like the first iteration of a gyroscope, they used it out on the water to, when the boat was nice and level and there weren't a lot of waves, they would spin it up. And then when they're out on the water, they could find level that way. They would, they didn't use the horizon. They knew the horizon was not, it was apparent. It would change, and 1 degree this way or that way is going to put you, 100 miles from where you really want to go. So it was very important to know what level was when you're using the stars and the sun and moon to try to find your position and which way you're supposed to turn. So they, before the whirling speculum, the gyroscopic thing to hold a level, they would use mercury, like a bowl of mercury, and then measure the reflection off the sun to the actual sun in the mercury, and they would somehow get level from that. And it was used for a while, and then they came up with the whirling speculum. It was like, yeah, this is a lot safer and a lot easier to use.
And so we're clear,
trying to keep a big cup of mercury from spilling.
It's a whirling, like a gyroscope, a whirling speculum.
Speculum.
Yeesh.
Yep. John Searson came up with the idea. It wasn't.
Ladies been to the OBGYN will know what a speculum is.
So is it like a replenishing? So it says that you get mercury, it's produced by extracting it. So it's produced by extracting it from mercury ores. So do the mercury ores produce it? And is mercury replenished? Or is it just, or is there a certain amount of mercury
in everything? Mercury's in the plants, it's in the rocks, it's in us, it's in the animals. There's mercury in the ground that you walk on. It's just in very small amounts.
Is it limited? Like, is it a regenerating type thing though, or is it something that is just there's only a certain amount of mercury that's ever going to be here?
It's a good question.
That's a universal question, right? Like, are there elements that are being created right now that we've never seen before on this earth? Things that are mixing and this and that and just have those right conditions. Like, I don't know, man.
Or are veins being created for the next generation's gold rush?
Mm-hmm.
We found ours in the 49s. We'll just eventually somebody next time is going to find more gold. I don't know that there's a finite supply of anything.
Yeah, I think everything's constantly being recycled and recreated.
So we allegedly stopped using mercury in our everyday use because it was causing degenerative effects to us biologically?
Not likely.
Or did they want us not playing with mercury, so they made it seem toxic?
Right.
Like, that's what I'm. Same thing with fluoride, right? There's good fluoride, and then there's bad fluoride.
They don't give two shits about degenerative effects. They don't give a fuck. If anything, we could probably make the argument that it's because of its degenerative effects they would be using it.
We're on break.
Oh shit, we are on break. All right. Yep, fourth and final. Much appreciated. I know Liz is going crazy somewhere, rolling over in her sleep. But we'll be back. We'll just take a minute.
Some people paint their pictures while living on the page. It makes life better when things are wetter. There's never signs of age. In a world that's changing, you know the colors can bleed together. Find your key for clarity and keep it close forever. There's hungry people on the streets holding signs that say they're dying, while the fat and happy cats stretched out upon the perch with pride. I don't know how they got there, and I'm losing sense for trying. I found a cure that is sure to leave you with roses on your mind. She's not too tall, not too thin, not quite sure where to begin. Perfect for what's in store and the state of life I'm in. So take a minute to repay all the loving that she gave. Cause when the levee breaks, the water's gonna wash it all away. You know there's roads are crumbling because of fault line traffic, and the cookie cutter cities are falling victim to the sea. The strongest Air Force winds are no match for magic. Through her eye the sun is shining down on me. She's not too tall, not too thin, not quite sure where to begin. Perfect for what's in store and the state of life I'm in. So take a minute to repay all the loving that she gave. Cause when the levee breaks, the water's gonna wash it all away. Against the very own brothers, because the book with all the answers claims to force the sword in peace. In all the madness, you can't tell one from another. I've got a cure that is sure to lift your thorny crown with ease. She's not too tall, not too thin, not quite sure where to begin. Perfect for what's in store and the state of life I'm in. So take a minute to repay all the loving that she gave. Cause when the levee breaks, the water's gonna wash it all away. Take a minute to repay all the loving that she gave. Cause when the levee breaks, the water's gonna wash it all away.
dark matter?
Okay, we don't know.
That's great. That's why it's called dark.
It's exactly.
Everyone knows all reputable information comes from random people on the internet. Tell me things, internet. The earth is flat. It's like school in your head.
Okay, dark matter is something we do not know what it is. We believe the dark matter is there, but we have never detected it. Well, what I'm afraid of course, is that there is no dark matter out there. There was one? There is no dark matter out there. We need to think really hard.
And welcome back. Fourth and final segment of the Ironworks kicking off right now. I will say I'm feeling a little bit better here at the end of the show than I was at the beginning. It was definitely a Monday morning during the first segment. Yep. That's how I felt.
I think rain looks like that. It's been raining for the last few days here. I know we need rain, but it always seems to be I like to get out, especially when you've already been having a nice weather situation and then you get rained in again. How's the weather there?
Oh, it's been gorgeous. We've been getting rain, but not too much. Yeah, up in Indiana, it rained like, if it didn't rain once this week, it was going to rain twice next week. I'm not sure if that happens down there in Kokomo by you. I don't know, because we were close enough to Lake Michigan to where we got, the rain from Lake Michigan all the time. Northern Indiana just gets a lot of rain.
I think there's just a lot of places where the common saying is if you don't like the weather, wait an hour or so. People like to say that pretty much
everywhere. Yeah, I've noticed that too.
Except California and Hawaii. And they're calling the National Guard into California, so we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Natural gas wells in New Mexico. People just keep getting sick. Vomiting, headaches, and the smell of rotten eggs. Yep, that's Whiting, Indiana.
It is
drive
kind of
through up there. And yeah, it's all oil refineries and gas refineries, and it smells like rotten eggs. It does.
Oh,
and the people just get used to it, to where they don't smell it at all.
You talking about down in Terre Haute?
Well, no, up in where all the oil refineries up in northwest Indiana, right by the Chicagoland area. There's like Mobil Oil and BP is up there. And yeah, in Whiting, you're driving right through the oil refineries in that town, and it just smells like rotten eggs, like sulfur, all the time, 24/7. My mom lived there for a few years. She's like, yeah, after like a couple weeks, you just don't even smell it anymore. It's just normal.
Why do they call it oil? It's petroleum is what we're pulling from the ground, right?
Well, and natural gas. Helium, hydrogen, all kinds.
Why do they call it oil?
Well, there's oil involved too. Yeah, the black gold.
Well, it is interesting. The oil is really more of a broad term, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything has oil in it. Even the rocks have oil in them.
But we kind of think of, when you think oil, you ask anybody oil just in a blanket statement. I think most people think oil like from the ground. Like that black stuff. I think that's interesting. I guess you might go to baby oil from, like if you just went to somebody and said, oil, what do you think of? I think most people would say the black stuff in the ground, which really isn't the best definition of what oil is.
Well, no, because every plant, we use grapeseed oil and canola oil and this kind of oil and that kind of oil. We can get oil out of anything. But
So
yeah,
when they say that like the pharmaceutical industry is oil based, it's petroleum based. I don't understand that. I guess
poly. If you see anything with poly, POLY, that's oil from the ground, most likely. All of our plastic that we have comes from the oil in the ground,
and
that's
oil
actually
is
a byproduct.
It's secreted from mineral that gets combined with some kind of a liquid.
Now that's the question.
They find large deposits of this oil under the ground
Of the petroleum, but is all oils based from that petroleum that they're getting from the ground? We're getting oil from different stuff.
Well,
Yeah, you can get
a lot of them are different.
soybean oil and all sorts of different oils from elsewhere.
But when they say like the pharmaceutical, this is where I'm kind of having a hard time with the idea of intertwining different stupid conspiracy theories. When they say the pharmaceutical industry is oil based, do they mean petroleum based, like straight from the ground oil? They have to use that straight
from the ground.
Well, it may not be
from-
straight from the ground. It may have had some refinement to it, but that's the oil that they're referring to. They say petroleum. They're not talking about soybean oil. They're talking about oil from the ground.
Okay,
And then they synthesize it.
Can you use the same soybean oil to do the same application?
No.
For that stuff, it has to be all those. That's the agent. It has to come from that.
This is why the oil tycoons became oil tycoons. Why they had to get rid of the alcohol because they wanted everything to run on oil. And then you have plastics, which are all petroleum based. So then anything plastic. So anything plastic and most all energy comes from petroleum.
But can you make most of the same stuff? Can you make most of this stuff using different sources other than the stuff that they're getting from the oil wells?
Oh yeah, hemp oil will make fuel. You can make all that same kind of stuff out of hemp oil.
And we don't really know what this stuff is that they're getting from the down on the bottom of the earth.
And it's really weird because they say, that the oil wells will run dry, and then all of a sudden they go back to that well and it's full again.
That's what I was getting to earlier with that whole. Or is there a certain amount that there is, and that's it, or is there a replenishing? That whole resource.
Now, I saw a video. I shared it on the weekend show. It was a sheik, allegedly, right, saying that the oil in the ground is not from dead plants and animals and this and that. It's from the outer lands. That this is what their rivers are made out of in some of these other outer lands beyond Antarctica. And that oil seeps into the ground and then finds its way over to our land through the ground. And then we go and suck it up. Now, that's just a story. That one kind of blew my mind. Like, yeah, this stuff isn't actually from here. We're not making it here at all. This is from somewhere else, and it's seeping into our grounds and our groundwater and stuff, and then we find it. Allegedly. Just a story. Some guy sitting on a couch talking in Arabic said he was a sheik. He was speaking in Arabic, so I don't even know if the words on the screen were actually what he was saying. So I don't, grain of salt. But it was interesting. No, I have no clue where it comes from.
I wonder if mercury
they learned that you can take this oil and say you have, like a certain type of molecule that is, phosphorus and this other thing. And it, they get down to the molecular level where they blah, blah, blah. Well, they figured out that they can synthesize oil to look just like that molecule. So you have one that's natural. You have your, you got this out of a plant and it has this molecule in it. Well, we can take this oil from out of the ground and make this molecule look just like that one and then sell it to you as that other one.
That's interesting.
So we're saying that it's this, that were given to you, right? They like a food supplement type thing in a pill form. Well, yeah, this is, like it has magnesium and this and that in there, when really it's just oil synthesized to mimic magnesium. Crazy. But they figured this out a long time ago. And that's when Rockefeller came out and said, you will be wearing oil, you'll be eating oil. Oil is going to be all around you. He wasn't wrong. Polyester, poly. When you see poly, P-O-L-Y, that's oil from the ground. Polypropylene, polyethylene, there's 26 different types of poly out there right now.
One of the places where I saw like a conspiracy theory was about whenever the light thing happened between how they were going to try to light our highly populated areas, and they were using the oils as a light source. And as that converted to electricity, the people that were pushing so hard to use the oil for the lights wanted to make sure they kept their dominance because they'd already positioned themselves. And so the electricity kind of won out with the light source because it was more practical. And then that's when there was a big shift in us moving towards making sure cars have to run on gas, on petroleum. And then that's where the Rockefeller kind of took in. It was just basically a shift of power is what it was alluded to. And the way that you control is by the resource. You have to make something desirable that's a resource that you control. And if you control that resource, then everybody has to use it. So, I mean, we weren't even... The ideas that this American government at any point was for the people is so silly. There was no glory days where we were doing it better, I think.
Nope, it's a never-ending battle. There's always going to be good people. There's always going to be bad people. They have the right in the choice to change sides and this and that. And yeah, it's a spiritual battle, I think, more than anything. I mean,
I think that's what we're in.
Yeah, the people who don't have the billions and trillions of dollars, they're out there, scratching away to make more money. But the people up at the top, it has nothing to do with money for these people. And I don't even think it's so much about control either. It's, a spiritual good versus evil type thing, their end game. They may be using things that they know are evil, to get the job done. But I think in a lot of their minds, they have justified it in a certain way to what they're doing is actually good for the greater good, right?
I think the struggle is between self-preservation and doing the right thing for the realm. And I think that's basically good and evil is. And I think doing the right thing for the realm is more earth-based. You're more blood-based. It's what you're doing for your family and for the things that are around you. And then the other one is more your legacy of how is it going to, are you leaving it better than it was before you got here? This is the two intertwinings. And both of them, I think everybody has a little bit of both. It just gets used as divisive when it's really something that should be, we all can collectively figure out a way to honor mom and dad, like to both try to do what's good for everybody and what's good for yourself if you're really doing the right things. Do not do to others as you do not want done to yourself is a pretty simple rule.
Yep, I learned that from the YMCA, the golden rule. Treat others how you wish to be treated. That was like the mantra of the YMCA.
Your neighbor is your brother.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think that Civil War, whether it's real or not, it did have a very underlined divisive effect of there could be a time in history where our grandfathers fought against their brothers for such a, it's kind of the whole thing, the whole narrative of it leads to that we're capable of that. And that's where I struggle with it sometimes. Does it get so bad that you kill your brother without like any, like, how can you get to that point where collectively, the whole nation does that? It's hard for me to buy the narrative. It feels like there was definitely more going on with that war if there was that significant break.
What's going on right now. Look at all the families. I've been seeing a lot of videos lately. Children being kicked out of their homes because they voted for Trump.
I think
there is social pressure for sure.
I think the argument could be made that flat Earth has turned father against son and brother against brother in cases.
Uh-huh.
Well, I bet for sure.
A lot of families I've seen split up over flat Earth. That's why I was really hesitant to tell some of my buddies that even asked me about it. He had, a 4-year-old son, him and his wife. And he asked me, so what's with all this flat Earth stuff I've been hearing you talking about? Man, when you're ready, you'll go look. That was my answer, because I had a feeling that because he was very math-based, would get it, but his wife wouldn't. And I did not want to be the reason.
I think it's the name, honestly. I think it's the name Flat Earth. Just framing it in the name Flat Earth is a big part of. It's a non-workable. You're starting with a false dynamic right from the outset. So if we can figure out this is just my personal, what I've found recently. Once you put the label Flat Earth on it, you're just never going to reach a large majority of the people. And you're going to just do damage to yourself personally, is what I found. So I wouldn't encourage anybody to put the label on themselves of Flat Earth. It's anti-productive. It just ends up destroying. It's hard. I think you should talk about it, the realm, but I think that's one of the, I don't want to, that's what I have found recently. Everything that's attached, it came from the final experiment thing that they did, where that's just a complete misnomer. And then I jumped back to Flat Earth, and I'm like, well, we shouldn't even be starting with that, because that's putting the entire conversation on something that's not even a proper, and the entire aspect of true flat earthers is to articulate logic. And flat earth is just a bad term.
There's so many flat earthers out there that haven't even heard of the final experiment. You got to think about it. Even the big channels on YouTube, 100,000+. There's 30 million flat earthers, according to CNN, in the United States alone.
I bet you told 100 people, and what do you think the number is? If you take 100 people at random, how many people do you think the general public have heard of the flat earth in America?
Over 50%. Easy.
What?
Have heard of it? Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I believe they've heard of it. Like even before 2014, I'd heard of flat earth when I was in elementary school. So the number of people that have heard of flat earth is going to be high. The number of people that look at flat earth favorably are going to be not nearly that much.
I'm just saying the flat earth experiment, the final experiment. Everybody's heard of flat earth.
Final experiment. No. Maybe 1%.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You went to 100. How many have you heard of the final experiment? And just let them tell you what it is. I think maybe 5
less than 1%. Yeah, I bet it's less. Yeah. No, you got to think 30 million people out there, and you add up just all the flat earth channels on YouTube, and a lot of those are the same subscribers. You could add those all up. It probably doesn't break 2 million that way. And there's 30 million, and that's worldwide, right? If you took just subscribers from the United States, that number would drop dramatically, I bet.
But if you pin people down and you ask them, do you believe a particular question that would make it almost impossible for there to be there's ways you could frame a question. You could have a high percentage of people who would have skepticism towards what we've been told about our realm.
Oh, yeah.
So,
we 18 to 35, something like that. Like 66% of the people are questioning the shape of the Earth. 66% in those age groups.
I think it'd be interesting to do a little man on the street. Now, do you really believe that it's raining diamonds somewhere out there in the universe? Or do you just accept it because that's what you saw on the television? You read that in the paper somewhere, read that on the internet, and now you figure, well, shit. You just accept it as true? If it has no effect on your life, where do you rank it as far as believability and, just as a part of your reality? Do you not just see that?
I would have back in the day. Just because I believed everything almost that NASA told me. And the space agencies.
I probably would have said something similar. Well, if it's the whole universe, then maybe.
It could be happening somewhere out there, I'm sure of it.
Right?
I was sure there was life up on those little lights. Billions of people.
I think the only really way to reach people is through the Socratic method, and they have to allow you to do the Socratic method with them.
Yeah.
And most people won't let you.
No.
Most smart people won't let you down that road because they know you're leading them, and you're like, well, I am leading you, but there's no way we're going to get there unless I lead you.
Yeah.
So you get to come with me and trust me that I'm not going to break your head.
In my experience, nobody really appreciates the Socratic method, except the person asking the questions.
Yes. If the education level doesn't allow it, as you get higher down the indoctrination of just the way that people are taught, as you get into higher expertise, I think it's harder to actually get to the ground of logic. It deviates from logic. Literally, by becoming more expert, you deviate from logic.
And I think they've done their absolute ever-loving best to make sure that everyone's way of thinking deviates from logic.
Agreed.
That's just one of those crazy things. Like when you have laws of logic.
That's why we're taught out.
Right? Logic has laws. You don't violate the laws. It's like laws of physics. You have laws of logic that cannot be violated. Right. That exist whether humans exist or not.
It should be taught at a first grade level. That should be one of our core educations. If we are really, truly trying to educate. The first thing you should be taught is how to think.
Well, agreed. Right, this is that Prussian indoctrination system that grabs us generationally, and we just push it on out. So shout out to all the homeschoolers. Shout out to all you fine folks in chat. Good to see PK there. Good to see Caprice there. Good to see Jono Edwards there. And Mark Simons. I think those were the gray folk I saw this morning. And thanks to everybody for hanging out this morning. And we will see you all back here on Wednesday. Hopefully we'll be joined by Walter, as that is his usually time to come in. Yeah, Dawn, Walter takes Mondays off generally, just to get a little extra rest. But we do love you. We do appreciate you. And wish you a productive, safe and happy rest of your week. And until then, be good, be well, do good, do it well. We love you. Bye-bye.